Welcome to Loud and Now Sports
All
Talk.
right.
My name's Kurt Asherman, and I'm your host. And in this Sports Talk podcast, we approach sports from every angle possible, predominantly staying here in Loudoun County and talking about how sports are played here. Sports in Loudoun County are exploding, growing like crazy, as I think our guest is going to tell us is happening everywhere. But we also talk sometimes to some high-profile athletes, and that's what we've got today. We've got Mike Bordick as our guest, a Baltimore Oriole Hall of Famer. I have to tell you, I've known Mike a few years, and Mike, I when I did some research on your career, I'll be honest, I didn't know you were that good. And I didn't know you'd played that many years, 4 different teams. And we'll get into that. And you're not looking that old. I mean, maybe 10 years worth,
my
but you're not
gosh.
looking that old.
Well,
So we're happy to have you, Mike, on the podcast.
no, I
Thanks for
feel
coming
pretty
on.
good. Thanks so much for having me,
Yeah.
Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike,
absolutely. Thanks for having
tell
me.
us a little bit about growing up. Now, I know you were an Air Force kid, and I told somebody just recently, I thought that the military kids are most of the time the most balanced people of all. I'm guessing it's because you have to adjust. You move from city to city and town to town, and you must have done a lot of that, right? Your dad was in the Air Force, and he got transferred to different places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was born right into it because I was born in Marquette, Michigan. My dad had just left Dow Air Force Base in Maine, and they just got married as well and had me. And next thing you know, less than a year later, we were in Okinawa. My dad was getting ready for the Vietnam War that was going on, and we spent 4 years in Okinawa. So pretty crazy. Made it back, and from Okinawa went to Oklahoma. So I started my schooling in Oklahoma, and we were only there for I think just a year, and we just started jumping around. It's a crazy lifestyle, but I do think I guess when I was in it, I just kind of went with it because as a family,
They have no
that's
choice,
what
right?
you do.
Yeah.
But there were challenges for sure. The challenges of trying to make new friends, but that's where, for me, sports became so important because
That's where I was.
was my
That's
gateway to everything.
That's where I
And
was going next, Mike. I was going to say, did
yeah.
sports help you make those transitions every time? And did you
Oh
play
my
more?
gosh, that
Play
was
every
it.
sport?
I mean,
Did you play every
it
sport?
seemed like every sport, and every
Yeah.
year it depended on when we got to the new base or wherever my dad was stationed. It depended if it was football season or baseball season. Dad would drive up to the field and say, "There you go introduce yourself." And so that's how you meet people and say, "Yeah, I'm Mike." Now, fortunately, this is the deal, Kurt. When you're on a base, everybody understands that. As a kid, you don't
Oh,
really understand it. You just know here's new kids, they got their own thing. So you deal with that, and you kind of accept it as you go. When my dad got stationed to Pease Air Force Base in New Hampshire, that was the first time I'd ever gone to school off base.
oh.
And I actually tried out for sports off base.
So
And
the
I
other
got
the other
cut
places
from every team.
you wait a second. The other places had their school
Yeah.
on base. In New Hampshire, you went to school off base.
Yeah.
And did
Yeah.
you just say you got cut from every
Yes.
team?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
I'm telling you. So crazy. So we moved to Portsmouth when I was in middle school. And it was the first opportunity I ever had to actually play for a school. And we were in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It was Portsmouth Middle School, and it's big. There were a lot of kids there. So, I mean, it was a little intimidating as well. But my first year, I played on the base. That's it. Just sports on the base, football, basketball, and baseball. When I got to middle school, actually, I tried out for the basketball team first, and I got cut from the basketball team. And when I got home, I was scratching my head like, man, I guess I'm not that good. You just start questioning yourself.
Yeah.
I'd never been cut before.
And
My
knowing
dad
you
didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a lot of feedback from anybody about it. telling me to do this or that. I really took it personally. And to be honest with you, it impacted me so much that I never tried out for basketball again.
Holy cow.
Now, after basketball season came baseball season, and I was in the gym popping the glove and thinking I'm doing really well, and I got cut again. And now,
Wait. What year is this, and what year in school did you say you were?
yeah,
What year?
I was in middle school. So I was in 8th grade in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and it was 1978 or 9.
All right, so let me interrupt you and tell you a story, because I got cut from my freshman basketball team. And I turned to the coach and said to him, biggest mistake you ever made, and I'm proving you wrong. The next year I made the varsity. The year after that I was captain. And I held that over his head from the day he cut me the first time. So hopefully he did the same thing to the middle school baseball coach. Did you hold it over his head? Did you make the big leagues and send him a note saying... Unbelievable. So do you think...
That's very interesting because, yeah, down the road that actually did happen. Now, I got to finish this out now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Baseball. I ended up playing baseball in the summer on the base. But then I went back my freshman year in high school, and I got cut from my freshman football team.
So now you've been cut from all three sports.
This is the first time, I pulled all 3.
Holy cow.
I pulled all 3,
cow.
man. When I got home this time from football, my dad says to me, you got to go back and tell the coach that you will do anything to be on the team, period. You'll be the manager, pick up towels,
right.
Anything, jock straps. And I did. I went back, I told the coach, and he said, listen, go try on the shoulder pads, come on out. And Kurt, every day they lined me up helmet to helmet with like the meanest kid I've ever seen and met in my life. And I just kind of proved myself. And before the season started, I ended up being the starting defensive back. And thank goodness, football was honestly my favorite sport. But those 3 times being cut from sports, really, it just it humbled me for sure. And it made me just look at things a little bit differently. And fortunately, I didn't take it too personally. And it wasn't until later down the road that I realized just what happens in that dynamic when you have a base and then you have a school system that is off the base, yet you're getting Air Force kids in. Why would anybody from the neighborhood of Portsmouth want a base kid to come in? Because they're going to be gone in a year. They just don't have that sustainability. So they stuck with their own kids, right? Because you never know, a kid might be leaving during the season.
So, Mike, let's just touch on this for a second, getting cut 3 times. As I told you, mine was more fun than anything else because I eventually became captain of the basketball team, but I think I averaged like 9 points a game because I could play defense, but I couldn't shoot, kind of thing. But I went to that coach and I said, he became a dear friend later in life. I said to him, Coach, you're going to regret this. I'm telling you, it's a big mistake. And I held it over his head forever. But I remember the impact getting cut had on me because I was always the best athlete in the group that I was playing with, wherever that was, or at least I was up there, right? I could play every sport one way or another. It had impact, but it incentivized me. And so talk a little bit about how young athletes can take those kinds of, I don't want to call it a failure as much as a step back, take those and use them for their future, because it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, and that is the beauty, I guess, of sport, to be honest with you, is when you get cut, when you fail, because everybody in sport this has happened to. I mean, you and I aren't the first athletes to ever be cut. I mean, the greatest athletes in the world have stories about being cut.
Michael Jordan.
This is the deal. A lot of times in middle school, yes, Michael Jordan, that in middle school, that window of how kids grow is very inconsistent and erratic. And I always tell kids, be patient. Kurt, if you would have seen me in middle school, you would have gone, oh my gosh, eat something. Get some meat and potatoes on this guy. I was a little kid, man. Just a little guy. So I could move athletically, but I was very small. So I didn't make an impact when I showed up or anything like that. So you just got to wait for the
Yeah.
hormones to kick in and your body will grow. And when you get through that growth spurt and when you start handling your body differently, it's a game changer. It really is.
We're going to talk about that towards the end of this conversation because I want to talk a little bit about, or have you talk a little bit about the concept of overall wellness physically and mentally, which is part of what you're doing with the baseball warehouse. But I will tell you that's such an important it's such important advice. Is nothing is forever. Nothing is going to last for that down day when you had a lousy day feeling ground balls and you got cut from a team or something. It's not going to be there where forever, and that you just got to just move to the next place. Now, moving to the next place, I got to get you to Maine here because you're in New. Did you go to Maine from New Hampshire, or did you have other stops after the fact?
We did, yes. My dad retired and we went to Maine and I finished up high school in Maine. Yes. Yeah.
So that's how you got to Maine. You just decided to go to Maine because you went to the University of Maine as well. You paid for the great
Well, my
John.
mom was from Maine.
Oh, I didn't realize that. There you go. That makes sense. And
Yes.
mom always wins. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty basic.
Yep.
Mom wins.
You read that right. Well, way back at the beginning of the story, when my
Yep.
dad was stationed at Dow Air Force Base, he met my mom as a young guy in the Air Force, and then she just
Wow.
jumped on and took the trip with him throughout his career, and they ended up back in Maine, and Maine was always kind of considered our home base
It sounds
because
like
my
it. Yeah.
mom's parents were up there, so when we were in transition, we'd always go back there, so it was very comfortable to go back, and yeah, I love Maine and still have family up there today.
And you played for the great John Winkin at University of Maine. Is that true? Must have, right, son? Here's how I know John Winkin.
I did. Oh
I
my
was
God.
I was at Springfield, which is Division II. Of course, Maine was Division I. We had a good team though, so we played at more of a Division I schedule. And we used to go to Maine. We'd go up. We'd make the trip to Bowdoin, Colby, Maine, New Hampshire. We would do one of these loops. Most of the time, we got our keister kicked, but not all the time.
Yep.
But I remember meeting the great John Winkin once, and it was like baseball royalty had showed up. Our coach Archie Allen was pretty well known as well,
Yeah.
but he was in awe of John Winkin. And what Winkin used to let us do is they would let our baseball team come up and use your indoor facility at the University of Maine, which you had during the winter. I also remember playing doubleheaders with snow in left field. I bet
Yeah.
you remember a lot of those kind of thing. But University of Maine has always had a great baseball program.
No doubt.
All right, so you're bopping all over the country, all over the world, really, because during the Vietnam War you were in Okinawa, you said, and you ended up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And that was another transfer, your dad's transfer?
Yep. Dad got transferred to New Hampshire. We were there for 3 years, and then after my freshman year in high school at Portsmouth High, he decided to retire. Now, he ended up going back. So this is pretty interesting too. All very cool.
Yeah.
We went up to Maine for the summer and built a log cabin. And that's where we were going to live.
Everybody does that, by the way. Everybody builds
Yeah.
a log cabin. Go ahead. Yeah.
It was the greatest experience. We were in a tent as a family. I mean, it was incredible. Anyway, he had to go back to finish up, and he wasn't going to be done until after Christmas. So I went and stayed with my grandmother. So I lived with my grandmother, and I did a commute from her house to the high school. And I started high school up at Hamden. It was called Hamden Academy, and played football. So another way to introduce myself and meet people. So got off on the right foot and had a great experience in high school. And yeah, I got recruited to go to the University of Maine.
Yeah.
Then it was the best baseball program in New England, hands down.
No question about it.
Kurt, they went to the World Series, College World Series from 1980 to 1986, 5 out of 6 years, so pretty amazing stuff. It was all regional, of course, back then.
Yeah.
And, they had some pretty good facilities, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. So I was at Springfield, Division II. We had a good team too. We went to the Division II World Series in 1970. But we used to take a New England trip, a high New England trip, we called it, because we do Bowdoin, Colby, New Hampshire, Maine, I don't know, 2 or 3 others. And we'd end up playing double headers on a Saturday and a Sunday, or double headers on a Saturday, and then you'd go somewhere else on a Sunday. And of course, the facilities at the University of Maine were always so much better than we ever had. And the great John Winkin, your coach, got to be in the Hall of Fame someplace, somebody's Hall of Fame someplace.
Yeah.
He
He's in
used
mine, that's for sure.
yeah, he was a good friend of our coach, Archie Allen, and he used to let us come up and work out during the winter in your indoor facility, which, of course, New England winters were such a joy.
Yeah.
Of course, playing in the spring and the fall, we also had snow in the outfield every once in a while, didn't we?
No doubt about it. Oh my gosh. I played in so many snowstorms and
Oh,
stuff. I set a record up there at the University of Maine for most errors. I made 4 errors in a game, and we were playing in a snowstorm, biggest
yeah,
snowflakes ever. Playing Vermont, so yeah, it was pretty challenging up there. But you said that field house was really cool,
yeah,
and
yeah,
what a great opportunity to really, for me especially, master the fundamentals, because
yeah.
that's all John Winkin ever talked about, man. The guy was just an institution when it came to teaching baseball and teaching it the right way. And yeah, he was awesome, man. I learned so much from him.
Yeah. Hey, were you a shortstop at Maine
I was,
as well?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you played in the Cape League as well. For
Uh-huh.
for listeners of ours who don't know what the Cape Cod League is, it's the best college summer league in the country, has been for a million years. I
Yeah.
have my Chatham Anglers hat on just for you, Mike, because
There you
I know
go.
you played in Yarmouth, right? Or
Right.
someplace, right? Tell
Yeah.
us about summer baseball on the Cape, because I don't think people realize just how cool that whole thing was. Did you play 1 year or 2 years on the Cape?
Well, I played 2 weeks on the
Oh,
Cape.
2 weeks
So
on the Cape.
yeah. Now it was an unbelievable opportunity and experience for me. And to be honest with you, after my junior year, we had just gone to the World Series again, and I had my best year ever. And I had Lenny Murillo came up to me, and he was I think, scouting
Right.
guy or draft guy. Anyway, he asked if I would sign if I got drafted, and I remember telling him, yeah, oh heck yeah, I would. And
Junior year, after your junior year?
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. That's it.
because we were really good and we had a lot of good players, and we had just played everybody in the country, and I saw all the shortstops, and I felt like I don't know, I kind of felt like I could compete with them. Anyway, the draft came and went, and this is the situation. You know, when we talked about getting cut from teams and stuff,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
get humbled, I felt humbled, that same kind of feeling like, well, I must not be good enough just yet. And so I said, I'll go down to Cape Cod and do what I can. One of my teammates was Craig Biggio, and after about almost 2 weeks, he and I were both under the Mendoza line, which is hitting about 200.
I made a
And
career of that. 181 lifetime. Thanks for bringing it. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike, so that I get to tell our listeners and viewers that I was a
okay,
181 lifetime hitter. So go ahead. You're under the Mendoza line with Craig Biggio. I'm not feeling sorry for you, by the way, because I've been there and done that. But go ahead.
all
You
right,
and Biggio, go ahead.
all right. So anyway, that weekend, I ended up putting in a really good weekend of baseball. I think I got a couple hits. I made a couple plays, and this is how it was back then. This guy whistles to me, and I go over to the sideline, and it's J.P. Ricciardi,
Yeah.
and he was the regional scout for the Oakland A's then, and he asked if I was interested in signing with the A's, and he basically gave me 24 hours, and I told him I would after I made a couple phone calls and stuff like that,
That mom
and,
and dad
and
know.
yeah, I called my mom and dad, but I did not call Coach Winkin, and I think he held that against me for a little while, because historically, people just didn't leave at Maine. They went 4 years. Even the great Billy Swift went back
Wow.
after being drafted, and he still
Really?
got drafted #1. But anyway, um, I called a former player at the University of Maine that got drafted his junior year, but
Mhm.
didn't go and went back his senior year and never got drafted and never had an opportunity. And he told me, he said, listen, man, he said, just make sure they get your college paid for so that you can come back go to school, finish your degree. And he goes, go chase your dream. So that's what I did, man. And I ended up coming back to school. Now I didn't graduate until 2006, actually.
Right.
So, a little while later than, but I got it done, and I guess took advantage of that great opportunity.
So I got to tell my draft story because
All right.
my mother's been dead for a long time, but we always held this over her head. I got drafted out of high school.
Oh,
And the White Sox offered me $22,000 bonus in 1967. Not a bad bonus in
that's great.
1967. Covered college. All this. My mother said, "No way, you're going to college. You're going to college." She wouldn't let me sign. Then I get drafted by the Cubs 3 years later, and they gave me a $2,000 bonus. So my mother, until she died, we held that over her head. 20 grand you cost us, Mom. 20 grand.
Oh,
My point being, obviously, I wish I had signed out of high school, but I understand exactly what the advice you were getting, right? And they cover college. They cover the rest of your college. I couldn't have
right.
gone back if I hadn't signed because we didn't have the money. And you chase your dream, which obviously worked out pretty well. How many years were you in Oakland? How long did it take you to get up?
4 years. Listen, Kurt, when I tell you the hand of God was on me every step of the way, I am just telling you the truth, because everything that happened, and I've left out a couple things, all right?
Right,
And
right.
if you want, I can go back and touch on them, but I got kicked off my high school baseball team my senior year after 3 games. So I had to overcome that and go out and prove myself, because
Holy cow.
or I wasn't going up to Maine. So there's obstacles. There is never an easy road. If anybody ever, whatever any kid or any person thinks about stuff, there is not an easy road to anything. There is always going to be an obstacle, a decision, a choice that you have to confront and make. And when you can take things on head on and just trust it and understand that, like you said, sometimes failure is a part and a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
pick yourself up and you say, bring it on. I ended up, when I was in college, working for a summer, it was Auburn Housing Authority. I was playing summer baseball. Everybody had to get a job. And
Right.
this guy kept calling me Rhino. And I was like, come on, man, why you calling me Rhino? He says, well, you want to be a baseball player, don't you? I said, yeah. He goes, well, you come here and you work hard all day, and then you go and you practice and you play. You're like a rhino. You're charging after what you want. And I went, oh, all right, Al, that's cool. So he kept calling me Rhino. A couple days later, he brings some tapes into me, cassette tapes. And he goes, listen to these. The cassette was about being a rhinoceros, okay? And keeping your horn clean and being faithful and working hard, having thick skin and accepting the challenges and damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead kind of attitude. So I kind of embraced that. And I ran with that for a while. I started collecting rhinos and stuff.
Yeah.
My brother and I got a rhino right here on my shoulder.
Did you ever figure out where this guy came from? I mean, why all of a sudden he was talking about rhinoceroses?
Yes. Well, it spiritually, that's the background. So there's always going to be a spiritual base, I think, to any time there is success. There should be anyway. And in the cassette tapes, and man, I wish I had the book. I ended up I'm telling maybe recently, like 5 years ago, looking up the cassette tapes, and it was a book called, and I think it was called Be a Rhino or Be a Rhinoceros. And it was a famous book, and I ended up getting the book, man. And it's like a go-to, right? So there's great principles in it, just about being responsible, being accountable, just all the great things that young athletes should learn and really build themselves around.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the spiritual nature to this, Mike. And I don't want to get into baseball's like God kind of thing, but I've been my most recent book was about the Tao Te Ching, the Chinese spiritual system, and a lot of that is based on being present in the moment right now and seeing opportunity and taking it. knowing when to not take the opportunity and knowing when to discern, should I go here or go there? You were discerning all along during that time that you were in college. You knew you wanted to sign. You were scared to death you wouldn't, right? You were afraid somehow you missed that opportunity. But it's all about being present at the present moment, in the present moment, at the present time. All right,
Yeah.
now I want to talk about one more professional thing, and then I want to talk a little bit more about, want to ask you to talk a little bit more about what you're doing now with the Baseball Warehouse and League of Dreams especially. First of all, you still hold the record for errorless games at 110 games, right? 100
Yeah.
and it still holds. When did you leave? When were you out of Major League Baseball? What year was that?
Long time ago. 03
Yeah.
was my last year, man.
Think about how holding that record, that shows you how difficult it is. And it's a pretty astounding thing to have held that record. The other thing that's interesting about your career, which is I can't wait to hear the story, since I know Cal Ripken casually. I mean, it's not like I'm invited to the bar mitzvah or anything, but you got traded to the Orioles in order for Cal to move to third base. I think I've got that right. Give me a nod if I got that right. Yes? Not right. Oh, great. I can't wait for you to straighten this out, because the world says you got traded there so Cal could go to third and you would take over shortstop. And I wondered what those dynamics were like. And now you've ruined this whole segment of the podcast, because now I got nothing. It's nice to have you here, Mike. Got to go now. No, tell us what really happened. What really happened?
This is if I was traded, then that would take a little bit of pressure off me. This was my decision. I was a free agent. So, yeah, I know. Makes it worse, right? So this is the deal. As a free agent in Oakland, first of all, Oakland never re-signed their guys. I mean, they let everybody go.
They still don't re-sign their guys.
Exactly. It's just part of their makeup, which is fine. Fine. So I started getting some phone calls from a couple teams, and one of the guys that called was Pat Gillick. Pat Gillick was the general manager of the Baltimore Orioles, a Hall of Fame general manager. Wherever he went, he won. In 1996, the Orioles were the catch away from going to the World Series.
Right.
When Mayer reached over, or was Mayer with the Cubs? Which?
I don't remember.
Yeah, anyway.
You mean the kid that reached over?
That reached over the fence.
Yeah, Jeffrey Mayer. I think it is Mayer.
Yeah,
it was Yankee Stadium in right field.
Exactly. So the Orioles were that close, right? And then of course the Yankees, blah blah blah. But
by the way, I'm with you on the Yankees, blah blah blah. The Yankees, blah blah blah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Pat Gillick, when he calls us and asks, and I just kind of laughed at it initially. I said, "There's no way this is happening." He said, "Listen, this is going to happen with or without you. We feel like you can be the shortstop that comes in and really helps our team." And so I was like, all right, well, I'd like to talk to Cal about it. And we did. We set up a phone.
Did you know Cal, or was it just casual, or?
Yeah, just as a teammate, or as competitors, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I'll share a little story. This is how the competitiveness goes. Back then, it wasn't all buddy-buddy, right? So I think in 1994, 95, it was probably 94, we are at Camden Yards, and Cal's up to bat, and Bob Welch throws a pitch up and in, and it hits Cal in the back of the hand. And everybody boos, and Cal's in his streak, right? He's in the midst of his streak. Cal goes to first base, and of course, as a middle infielder, I'm thinking, well, he's probably going to try to break up a double play, and so I got to be ready for that, make sure I get my feet up. Well, after I played with Cal, I asked him about this, because he ended up getting to second base because there was a walk. Next guy gets a base hit, and he ran Terry Steinbach, our catcher, over hard that Steinbach had to come out of the game because he had a concussion. It was terrible. So anyway, back to 1997.
That could have been you, Mikey. That could have been you flying into left center field.
Exactly. That's how the game was played back then. Of course.
It was called non-fraternization. It actually, you weren't allowed to chat with, people watching a game today. they know each other and love each other. The
Yeah.
opponents are hugging each other occasionally. In those days, man, you did that, Bob Gibson put one right in the side of your head, wouldn't he?
No doubt about it, right? Yeah, there wasn't a lot of buddy stuff going on. Free agency stuff still hadn't. I mean, guys were moving around, but certainly not as much as nowadays and stuff like that. And even umpires would scream at you if you got too close out on the field. It was kind of bizarre back then. But so anyway, Pat Gillick, yeah, sets up the phone call. I talked to Cal.
You to
And
Cal. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Cal did not give me, like, he didn't say, "Oh, absolutely, come on over, man. It's all yours." He said, "You got to do what's right for you and your family. Bottom line, that's it." And
Wow.
that's what this game is about, you
Right.
know. So he kind of put it on my plate, and I said, "Okay, I want to come back to the East Coast, and I want to be on a winning team." Listen, Kurt, I came up with the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's went to the World Series in 88, 89, they won the World Series, and in 90, my first year in the big leagues, we went to the World Series again. I went back to the playoffs in 92. I mean, I was kind of weaned on winning. And when ownership changed in Oakland and we were losing, it was terrible. I hated it.
Yeah.
I just did not like it. 162 games of losing is not fun.
Yeah.
So get an opportunity. What in my mind looks like a dynasty is being built. They just
in Baltimore.
Yeah, in postseason in 96, they've got Davey Johnson's the manager, Hall of Fame GM Pat Gillick. It looks like they want to keep spending money. We got Musina, we got Jimmy Key, we just got Eric Davis. We got studs all over the place. In 97, we were the best team in baseball. I don't think anybody can argue that. We went wire to wire. We did get beat by the Indians in the championship series, but we were really good. So that's how I ended up making my decision to come. But
that's a great
I don't
story.
regret it at all. Cal was great. Cal and I were throw buddies every day. So
we had Joe Theismann on the podcast, and I asked him about The Hit, which I'm sure you're a sports fan, so you know when Lawrence Taylor turned his leg into broken matchsticks.
Terrible.
Kind of thing. I asked him about it because I wanted to know what Taylor said to him. And what Taylor said to him was, I realized after that hit, Joe, that it could all go away in a heartbeat, that it could be over in a heartbeat. And essentially, Cal was saying that to you too, wasn't he? He was saying, listen, you got to do what's best for you and your family. And in this case, it's coming over. So it didn't sound like Cal was rah-rah happy to have you coming over. He probably didn't want to move to third base.
Right, exactly. I think in Cal's heart of hearts, he wanted to stay there forever, okay? Yeah. So check this out, Kurt. First of all, Cal Ripken is exactly as advertised. Just an incredible guy that worked as hard as he could to be the Iron Man, which was the most amazing feat, I think, in all of sports. And it will never, ever be broken and should be highly, highly respected as one of the greatest accomplishments, I think, ever in anything. Bring your lunchbox and show up and go to work, period. And so Cal is a great role model for that. But the first day I got to Baltimore in spring training, Cal and I started playing catch like every day. We were catch buddies. He and I would talk about our pitchers, their pitchers, positioning, playing off him, just the communication stuff. Yeah. He cared about winning. He cared about being a pro. I mean, that's what it was about. It didn't have anything really to do with him. He wanted to be on a winning team, and he was trying to help me to help the team. Cal and I did a talk a couple winters ago, and we were on the stage with Brooks, a couple other guys, and they asked Cal, because Cal was one of the last players to win a World Series, right, with the Orioles. Right. What was the best team you ever played on? And he said that 97 team.
97, really?
Unbelievable, wow. Right? Yeah.
So for young people and coaches of young people, there's so many lessons, Mike, just in a handful of stories you just told us. That there's the lesson that you have to take the opportunity when it comes up. You have to take failure and realize that It's going to come no matter what. Nobody's successful all the time. If you were talking to a group of young kids, which you do all the time, let's back up for a second. You now do a lot of work for the Baseball Warehouse, which is a big operation that does camps and clinics and individual coaching. And you're still doing all of that stuff, right? Maybe not as much as you had in the past, because you are getting older. I can tell by the beard. You're getting old.
Right. Not
But
as much. There
no,
have been some changes, but yeah, I've had some great opportunities to, I don't know, share my message, share my
yeah,
experience with kids and families. I just love doing that. I think that's what our life should be about, is
right,
sharing our experiences. And I think that's why
yeah,
you have this podcast, is
yeah,
try to do that stuff. So when I go and talk to kids, I talk to them about the failures. I share with them how I was met with adversity time and time again, and nobody can escape that.
that's
It's
right.
just how you handle it, and you try to accept it. And I'm not saying we look for it, but we say, all right, this is what I got. Let's go to work and try to fix it, right? Taking action on these problems, I think, is really important. So I encourage, a lot of kids, especially younger kids nowadays, to be curious about things like nutrition and the importance of starting to eat real food in their
Yeah,
lives. It
yeah.
really makes an impact
So
because,
let's go to this thing. This part of what you've said you try to teach is this overall wellness, physically and
yeah,
mentally. So
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really want to talk about this because I think it's so essential that I think young athletes today all think they're Superman. They all think they don't need to take care of themselves as much. But what you're saying is that it's not only in the stomach, taking care of yourself physically, lifting the weights, doing your running, doing your workouts, but it's up here too, isn't it, Mike? So much
100.
of success in sports is here, as
You
well
got
as
that
your
right.
ability to catch the ground ball or shoot a basket.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely. You got to have some mental toughness. There's no doubt about that. And you got to learn how to build that mental toughness. And many times it comes through establishing proper work routines. It might
Uh,
be the biggest word I think known to athletes, is develop a good working routine. So you got to learn your skills, that's for sure. And then you learn how to develop a routine so that you can repeat them and actually work on them properly over and over again. If anybody thinks that they can be a Major League Baseball player, which a lot of us always did,
of course.
understand this. The monotony in becoming a Major League Baseball player is incredibly mind-blowing. You do things over and over and over again, trying to do them the right way. You're not messing around and screwing around. You are focused on the perfect swing, perfect contact, perfect inside the ball, perfect footwork to a ground ball, perfect position with your hands and head. That's what it is to be a major league guy. The process to get to that point is all the failures and saying, oh, I need more focus. I need to do this a little bit more. And that all you hang your hat on your preparation. That's how I always thought. Keep working, establish routines, and they get better and better as you grow and get older. This stuff does not happen overnight, Kurt. I don't expect an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old to do this stuff. You just remind them of it at a young age. And you say, think about this. Think about your routine. Do you get your swings off the tee? And then they start thinking about that and
You
processing the importance of it.
You
All
know,
that.
Mike, I think this is a really important point that I hadn't really thought of at this level before. But Major League Baseball players take 100 ground balls every day. Don't hold me to the number; you would know better than me. You take
That's a
you
big
take
number.
50 take 50 swings a day. You're still hitting off a batting tee in the batting cage. You're doing all the things that little leaguers start doing. They hit off the tee to start with. And little leaguers look at major leaguers and wonder, well, they must not have to work as hard on this stuff as we do because they're already there. But you have to do that in order to stay there. Yes?
Yeah,
And
no doubt.
my 100 ground balls may not be that far off, right? I mean, you were taking ground balls all the time, even though you were in the major leagues. You were
Yeah.
playing at the highest level possible. But what you're saying to a young athlete is that the training never stops. It doesn't matter how long you're playing. The training should never stop, and discipline should never stop. And discipline's an important part of it too, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Well, they go hand in hand. All of this stuff. And that's really kind of, I guess, the beauty of being an athlete, and why I think playing sports should be dang near mandatory for everybody, whether you're good or bad, because you learn how to kind of structure things and organize yourself. If you want to get better, you learn a skill, you repeat it, and you practice it, and you refine it, and your focus gets a little bit more intent, and there's purpose to your actions and stuff. So this little process, yeah, it takes a while, but the intensity of the focus starts to heighten. I'll tell you what is really important, Kurt, and this should have been probably the thing we lead with in all of sport. Okay, the reason why I played as many sports as I could, and the big three weren't the only ones. I played hockey too. I just loved playing sports. I loved I thought that's what we did. We just, I want to play. I want to try everything. I want to be as athletic as I can. And it worked out to where, and I mentioned earlier, football was my favorite sport. When it came to crunch time, a football coach didn't come knocking on my door. A baseball coach did.
Yeah,
So I went, all right,
now
let's
I'm a baseball player.
And I became a baseball player through hours and hours of repetition over and over and over again. Now, this is, I guess, what I wanted to lead to. The thing about repetition is repetition definitely makes the master. But as you start to continue getting your repetitions, your focus and your purpose gets tighter and tighter. So at the end of it, you don't have to do your 100 reps. You may only have to do 40 reps. Your focus is so intense. Everything has a meaning and purpose. Your footwork, just how you line up. I mean, everything, the whole goal to being the top athlete is to simplify and be efficient with every move. Period. That is it. Because wasted move, the play is over. If you're doing something extra, the games are so fast.
There's so much here for coaches.
Basketball.
There's so much here from what you're saying, Mike, for coaches as well. I'll tell you another quick story. I got a chance to coach a high school baseball team. I was the commissioner of Parks and Recreation in a big town in New York, and I got a chance to do both. I mean, you talk about a dream job. If I could have eaten, in other words, had made enough money to eat, I'd still be doing those two jobs. But I remember my first year as a high school coach at Woodlands High School in Greenburgh, New York. The first thing I did is demand of the athletic director that I don't wear hats that snap in the back. We need fitted hats. He said, "What the hell are you talking about? Fitted hats?" I said, No, we don't snap. We're fitted. And I want new uniforms. I don't like the print. I don't like this stuff. I need some cages for ground balls and first base, et cetera. We were the best looking high school baseball team in the history of high school sports. We looked, man, and then we went 3-18. And you know why? Because I spent that whole first year, Mike, looking cool and not hitting enough ground balls, not hitting enough fly balls, not taking enough batting practice. The next year, we got rid of all that. Well, we didn't get rid of this. We're not going to snap hats ever. The next year, though, every infielder had to take 20 or 25 ground balls every practice. We hit fly balls. We hit off the tee. We did nothing but basics. And the next year, we were 500. The year after that, we're doing quite well. Here's my point. That often coaches think that there are victories in style, and there aren't. There's only victories in hard work, repetition, knowing that you're going to fail, and knowing that you just go back and take the next 20 ground balls or the next 20 fly balls.
No doubt about it.
I've held you longer than I promised you I would. So
no, you're
this
good.
has been a fun conversation. Let's
doubt.
talk about specialization in youth sports now, Mike. So my grandson plays football, basketball, and baseball. He plays all three sports. He's 13.
Wow.
And plays more baseball than anything else because, these travel teams, they play 180 games, it seems like. But the point is that he doesn't specialize in just one sport. And many parents now are steering kids towards one sport only, aren't they? They're beginning to say, if you're going to play baseball, you got to play it all 3 seasons indoors. What's your mindset on that stuff? How's
Yeah.
an athlete best served?
Well, I think an athlete's best served by being able to play as many sports as possible and let them become the best athlete possible. You just hear time and time again, coaches at the highest level say they're looking for the best athletes. And I think, unfortunately, I don't think it's the parents that have pushed this,
Interesting.
one sport. It's just the sport itself has all of a sudden, there
Demanding.
have been these companies that have jumped in, like, Perfect Game, and kind of forced the travel baseball issue. And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, you feel like if your son doesn't play, fall ball or on an elite travel team, that they're not going to get recognized and get an opportunity to play. The numbers to actually go and play college baseball are just, it's incredibly hard to do. And to be a professional athlete, it's just really, really hard. I can understand the motivation because everything is kind of messed up now with the portals and things like that. And this NIL money has really, I think, changed the game so much that it's caused a terrible trickle down into all the lower levels. So this specialization of sports is because of what's happened at the top, unfortunately. And kids are missing out on so much. And think about this too. I mean, first of all, the burnout risk is 10 times higher. I mean, my gosh, playing a sport all year round is really hard to do. As an adult, I can't even imagine as a kid, and then holy cow, and just keep doing it. I hear story after story being in Baltimore about lacrosse players. Oh, they get their dream opportunity to go to a D1 school. They show up and they're just so burnt out because of playing for so long.
And they find there's 16 other kids recruited for the same position.
That too. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's really hard, man, on these kids nowadays. I think every sport, no matter what they play, wants the best athlete. And then you hope that there's a good coach to develop them. But unfortunately now it's just really bizarre, and the injuries are showing that. Overuse syndrome has skyrocketed.
It has to be affecting major league pitchers.
Oh my gosh.
They all go down. They all go down at least once during a season. How many Tommy Johns used to be a something extraordinary. Someone got Tommy. Now everybody's getting Tommy John. You think that's overwork?
This is terrible. And no, it's really, really bad. And this is something this is an epidemic. This is a huge problem in baseball. Not only are major leaguers, you should see how many kids are getting Tommy John surgery in youth sports. It has skyrocketed. Orthopedic surgeons are just, if you want to be a billionaire, be an orthopedic surgeon, because they keep pushing these kids and they keep overusing them. Knees are blowing out, elbows are blowing out, shoulders are blowing out. These poor kids, their bodies aren't developing properly at a young age. That's why playing different sports is so important. To be a well-rounded athlete. Learn how your body moves in space as you grow. If you're going through your growth spurt and you are just a one movement person, everything is overdeveloping and something's going to give. It's just, this is a travesty. And I don't know who. I guess we as parents, we should speak out about it and just try to get kids to play other sports, man, because they're hurting their bodies more than they're helping, I think.
So, Mike, I never really thought about it that it's really from the top down, but you're spot on because, we had Derek Ferry, who's the head of all athletics here in Loudoun County Schools. He said there's two high school athletes who have NIL deals in Loudoun County. two high school athletes. Now it's equipment only. They're not getting money. It's equipment only. But that's all top down, isn't it? I mean, look what's happened to college sports in just the last 5 years, 3 years. The portal, between the portal and that,
It is so hard. And
wow.
how parents navigate it, we're all just blind, and we're all
Yeah.
scratching our head like, what have we just done with all our travel baseball? Because it's like you said, Kurt, you show up and man, one of your kids all of a sudden gets a recruitment letter, and they go and they sign a letter of intent, and they show up, and there's 10 other shortstops, and oh, sorry, you're gonna have to redshirt. Well, you said, what, redshirt? Oh, well, then there's next year comes around, and there's another group of shortstops. It's just so hard on these kids to make the right decision. So everybody jumps in these portals. They move around. The development. When did we get away from developing kids, teaching them how to be good athletes in the game? Because situational baseball has gone by the wayside. I mean, kids don't
The
know
other thing it's missing now, Mike, also is the coach-player relationship that takes time to develop. That is, you don't just walk in and automatically have that relationship with the coach that is going to help you become a better player, because the coach could be gone tomorrow. I mean, look what Lane Kiffin just did to Ole Miss. Look at what kind of I don't get off on that one, but you get the point. All right,
There's
Mike,
no loyalty. Where's the
loyalty, right? Yeah,
This is all driven by the money. And it's so sad, because when you think about sport at a young age, why it's so important, the ability to build a true foundation for somebody that's going to be successful in our communities, knows about getting knocked down and patting your teammate on the back and being a good sport and understanding that that guy's working hard too. Okay, so respect him and don't show him up over there. That's why sports are supposed to hold those great values. And that's why I feel so, I just feel so strong about sport and it being done the right way and playing as many sports as possible. Because as money has now dropped down in and numbers have gotten down where kids are trying to throw 100 miles an hour in middle school, we're losing what it's all about. We really are losing our sense of, because first of all, it's really hard to get there. Why not develop kids the right way and make them good people first, and not money hungry kids and money hungry parents?
Just last point on this, and then I'll let you go. The 100-mile-an-hour thing for me is a frame around the whole picture. I caught Rick Russell's first game in the minor leagues in 1970. Were you born in 1970? You were already born in 1970.
65, right. Baby. I was 5
and
years old.
You were 5 years old. And
I would have watched that game if it was on TV.
Yeah. I probably saw you on the Cape those 2 weeks. But in the old days, when they had the gun, it was they borrowed the radar gun from the local cop to do it. And he was probably 88 to 90 in those days, 88, 90, maybe he cracked 90, 91. Now you got to be throwing 100 to even get a look-see at. And this has to be affecting the way kids are being used, et cetera. All right, Mike, what's next for Mike Bordick? I mean, you're still a young guy. You're still doing lots of stuff. What's on the horizon for you?
Well, Kurt, every year I try to get back into the professional baseball, try to get into coaching and things like that. And this year's, really no different. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I love coaching, and I think I could offer some of these young pros, some pretty good advice, and life lessons too along the way. But in the meantime, I had just finished up my first season with the Be More Baseball podcast. Jerry Coleman and I put it on, and we did 40 episodes and talked about Oriole baseball and other, news across the baseball world, things like that. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm also in the works of developing a podcast for the League of Dreams, which is a nonprofit.
All right, so let's not sign off without talking about the League of Dreams, because it's a program that I've done a little work with, nothing like you have. First, tell our listeners, what is the League of Dreams and why is it different?
Yeah, well, League of Dreams is just incredible. It's been around for dang near 25 years,
I know.
and started right in Catonsville, Maryland, by Frank Kalarick, who came up with the A's organization, was a minor league catcher. His son ended up making it to the big leagues and won a World Series with the Dodgers, Adam Kalarick. Um, so baseball was kind of the starting point to give kids with special needs opportunities to play baseball and softball. And that was, like I said, done almost 25 years ago. And baseball was the starting point, but now it's grown to all sports. And this is all special needs. So, Kurt, as we've learned, I think, and we understand through life, we all have special needs. Listen,
Interesting.
mental health is a huge problem nowadays. Playing sports helps mental health. Being a part of the League of Dreams helps mental health, because
Yeah.
what happens is our special needs kids get involved with our volunteers who are athletes from whether it be the high school or the college we're involved with. We have a great relationship with Catonsville Community College, all the surrounding Baltimore Community College programs. And our athletes, our special needs athletes, will come out to a clinic, and the baseball team will come down, the basketball team, the soccer team, and they'll all come and help be volunteers with the kids, man. So it's all the peers together. And if you don't think a college baseball kid has a problem,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean?
And and
Absolutely.
and Mike, the other thing is it's special needs in all categories. So you could have someone in a wheelchair next to
Absolutely.
someone who's partially blind, next to someone who can't hear, next to someone who's so that it's
It's
special
incredible.
needs. The thing that I love about League of Dreams, which is different from other sports programs like that, is it's not specialized. It's if you have it used to be called disability, but if you have special needs, you can play in the Field of Dreams. And I've been to some of them. There, first of all, you start crying, so you have to turn
Yeah.
around and walk away,
Yeah.
right?
We had a great event up there. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you did
right
one
in your
right here in
hometown.
Loudoun County. It was fat.
It was so
uh,
much fun. Listen, Kurt, this is the beauty of it, okay? The
yeah,
impact it can have on communities. The kids that came out and volunteered that day, I feel like they'll remember that for the rest of their
forever. They
lives.
still they still do. My daughter was the one who worked with Frank to get that in place here. And
Incredible.
and it was an amazing day. 30 or 40 kids, and there was as many volunteers, maybe double the size number of volunteers. It
Yeah,
has such an impact on both, right? On both, not only the
definitely.
athlete, the player, but on
And
the
that's
others.
really what makes it so well-rounded, and what I love so much about it. Listen, we
Yeah,
are making huge impacts. We're a nonprofit, so we're doing what we can, but we're doing things along the way. We have developed also an adaptable STEM program, and
right,
we're
right.
launching our first two STEM schools. One's down in Annapolis, one's going to be in Catonsville. So, the science, technology, engineering, and math in an adaptable version. So
And you're
that's what
doing
we
that
do,
with
man.
the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, right? It's in conjunction.
Yeah.
So the whole
Yeah. We
thing
have,
with Cal comes around, the
I know.
base,
Isn't it
the,
beautiful? I love it.
the,
We are so
the,
fortunate. Cal Ripken Senior Foundation's been a great partner
oh,
of ours for a number of years. And we love to, jump on their coattails. And now we have an opportunity to give our special needs kids a chance to learn STEM.
yeah, it's
Listen,
great.
these kids are going off into the job market too, man. They don't just, do League of Dreams. This is about building confidence, man. That's why sports are so important. You watch a kid all of a sudden hit a ball off a tee that's never done it before, and somebody cheers for him, you see overwhelming confidence and joy. That impacts them so much that lets them try to take the next step, the next challenge. That's why it inspires me so much. These kids go on, man, and they talk about it when they're in their 20s about the impact playing sports had on them and why they're able to advance and get jobs and take those challenges, down the road. How about just learning how to get on a bus to go
Yeah,
across town?
yeah,
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 those challenges, and they accept them. And we sit about, oh, I don't want to face that guy today. These are real challenges that these people have, and they take them on, man. And they are great for me. They inspire me so much, and I think they inspire our volunteers, and that's why I think this is a great program.
So I think
Leagueofdreams.org. You got to check it out.
I was gonna say that at the end, but that's it. Leagueofdreams.org. Check it
Yeah.
out. Make a contribution. They need resources. Just to bring the Cal Ripken thing around, the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation helped my college, Springfield College, redo their baseball field, because that's what they do. They build fields in difficult areas, et cetera. And one of the things we did is we put an adaptive field in right field.
Yeah.
And it's literally on the college field, Mike. So they had to figure out how to get the turf to match so that you could drive a wheelchair on it.
Yeah.
But it also, the college athlete wouldn't feel the change in turf crossing over. It was a pretty amazing thing. And that's a special needs field in right field called the Asherman Family Field, by the way. I'm so proud of it.
Oh, my gosh. I love it.
We do a lot with the Miracle League up at Springfield.
That's beautiful.
Mike, this has been great, and I know we could keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Brent's, hopefully our producer is still there, and he's not saying, when are these guys going to, well,
I love talking to you, Kurt. Thank you so much.
Baseball people can talk, can't we, Mike?
Yeah.
We can talk. Even if the baseball you played was way up here and the baseball I played was way down here, we're still baseball people. And so baseball people.
No doubt, man. And that's what I tell these little kids too. I say, listen, we're all in this fraternity together.
Yeah.
We're all, the same challenges that a little kid has stepping in a batter's box, a big leaguer has too, man. The fear, the anticipation, not wanting to strike out. It's all the same.
Mike, thanks. Thanks so much for being on. So appreciate it. Thanks for all you're doing, the League of Dreams, the other stuff you're doing with coaching kids, et cetera. And so appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, maybe at a League of Dreams event.
Sounds
great. And again, that's leagueofdreams.org.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it.
Mike Bordick, great player, great person. It was a great interview. We appreciate your time, Mike. Thanks so much.
You got it. Thanks, Kurt.
All right. And this is Kurt Asherman signing off, saying keep swinging.